One of the most important steps our ancestors took in evolution is using oxygen as one of our energy sources. Whether it's using gills or lungs, animals depend on oxygen to live. Today, we will dive into the respiratory system for humans. The respiratory system is used for gas exchange, oxygen in and carbon dioxide out. It starts with your nose. Mucous membranes inside your nose produce mucus to moisturize and filter the inhaled air. Blood vessels are located close to the surface to warm the air. We don't want 3 Celsius air flowing into our lungs during winter. Then, the air gets into our pharynx, which is a common passageway for food and air. The pharynx passively allows the flow of air into the larynx, which is our voice box, known as the Adam's apple. Then, the air travels down the trachea. The trachea carries air from the larynx into bronchi. The trachea is held open with C-shaped cartilaginous rings for a strong support. The mucous membrane in the trachea traps foreign particles in the air, while the cilia in the trachea sweep the dirty mucus upwards and dump it into the esophagus. The trachea then bifurcates into bronchi that enter each lung. In the lungs, the bronchi divides over and over into small bronchioles. They have smooth muscles that enables them to alter the airflow. At the ends of the smallest bronchioles, there are grape-like clusters of air sacs called alveoli. They are the site of gas exchange with the blood. By being 1 cell thick, they transfer gases through diffusion. Those small sacs' walls secrete a surfactant that decreases their surface tension. They have to stay inflated to enable diffusion, and by decreasing surface tension, they will not collapse and stay inflated. Our inspiration phase is controlled by the medulla oblongata. This phase requires the input of energy. When sensors, known as carotid and aortic bodies, sense high CO2 levels inside the blood, they send impulses to the medulla oblongata. Then, it sends an impulse down the pharyngeal nerve to contract and flatten the diaphragm. When the diaphragm gets flattened, intercostal muscles, which are the muscles in between ribs, relaxes. This causes increase in the volume of the thoracic cavity and lungs. As surface area increases, the pressure decreases. Since air moves from places with high pressure to low pressure, it flows into your lungs. The expiration phase is passive and takes no energy. External intercostal muscles and the diaphragm contract, causing the lung tissues to recoil and tighten up. This decreases the volume of the thoracic cavity and therefore increasing the pressure. This causes the air to flow out. Both oxygen and carbon dioxide are dissolved in the plasma and carried in different ways. Hemoglobin is a protein found in the red blood cells that carries oxygen, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen. Hemoglobin with nothing attached to it is called deoxy-HB. When it attaches to oxygen, it becomes oxy-HB, carboamino-HB for carbon dioxide, and reduced HB for hydrogen. Red blood cells are better with transporting oxygen instead of carbon dioxide, so they need to use bicarbonate ions to help to transport CO2. An enzyme called carbonic anhydrase reacts with the CO2 with water to make carbonic acid, which spontaneously breaks down into bicarbonate and hydrogen. This increase and decrease of hydrogen ions affects the pH of the blood. External respiration is the gas exchange between the alveoli and the blood. Oxygen diffuses from alveoli to the blood, and CO2 diffuses from the blood to the alveoli. This decreases the CO2 levels in the blood, which forces previous bicarbonate reaction to the left to create more CO2. This also increases the blood pH as the hydrogen ion concentration decreases. This pH change affects the hemoglobin's preferred bonding molecule. Carbamino-HB and reduced HB release CO2 and hydrogen ions to become deoxy-HB. as they change shape to pick up more oxygen, becoming oxy-HB to balance out the decreased amount of CO2. Internal respiration is the gas exchange between the blood and tissues. Oxygen diffuses from blood to the tissues and CO2 diffuses from the tissues to the blood. This increases the CO2 levels in the blood, which forces the previous reaction to the right to get rid of more CO2. This also decreases the blood pH as the hydrogen ions concentration increases with the help of bicarbonate. This pH change affects the hemoglobin like before, but this time oxy-HB releases oxygen to become deoxy-HB as they change shape to pick up more CO2 and hydrogen ions, becoming carbamino-HB and reduce HB to get rid of more CO2 to balance out the decreased amount of oxygen. All of this occurs within seconds and unconsciously. Evolving from the earliest life forms, lungs help our ancestors and us thrive on this oxygen-rich planet.